What's up, guys? Welcome to the video. So today I want to talk a little bit about Wizard101 Console Edition and if it's actually worth your time. So I don't think I've actually said this before, but I did start playing Wizard101 when Console Edition came out. That's actually when I found Wizard101, and my first ever character was on Console Edition on my PlayStation back there, and since then, I've actually switched over to a PC version. So I want to talk a little bit about why I personally switched and, if I think it's still worth it to play on console edition. So the first thing I want to talk about are the differences of PC and console version. So the first most important thing that I kind of want to put out there is that Wizard101 Console Edition gets updates slower than Wizard101 PC Edition. So the updates will first come out to PC version, and then, I think it's a month later or so, they will then roll out on console servers. A second thing to mention in the same hand is that Console Edition actually runs on different servers from PC Edition. So none of the servers are the same, and if you started out on PC, you'll have to make a brand new character and a brand new account on Console Edition, which for many people who already have PC accounts, that's just not something they want to do if they already have maxed out a couple characters on their PC. But to someone who has never played Wiz before, that might not matter to you as much. Another thing is that there is no crossplay between PC and console since they are on different servers. That means if you have a friend who plays on PC and you want to play on console, you guys will not be able to play together. However, you can play together with other people on consoles. So for example, if you're on PlayStation and you have a friend on Xbox, you can still play together. So now that we're past that, let's get into some differences that might cause you to not want to play on console edition. Alright, so first things first, here we are in the Pet Pavilion in front of the hatching kiosk. So I'm not sure if it's still like this, but when I was playing on console edition, and I know for at least a month or two afterwards, the hatching kiosk was pretty negligible on console edition compared to what it is on the PC edition. And that's because obviously PC players have had many years to hatch a bunch of pets and all have them in the kiosk, whereas on console edition right now it's not too filled out. Now, like I said, that might have changed a bit, but I'm pretty sure, overall, there's a lot less pets in the hatching kiosk compared to on PC edition, so that's one thing to genuinely consider if you do want to play on console. However, I don't think that it would really, affect your gameplay too much. Pets are a huge deal in the game, but overall, I think that's something that will probably change as time goes on and more players actually hatch pets on console edition. So that's just something to keep in mind for now. Another interesting thing to note about console versus PC edition is actually that you cannot make purchases on the Wizard101 website and apply them to your console account. You have to make all the purchases in-game on your console, on your account, in order to actually get the rewards. So, for example, on PC, you buy your crowns typically on the actual Wizard101 website, but on console, you can't do that. You buy them straight through the console, so that's something to know. I'm pretty sure it also would affect redeeming, crowns codes. I'm pretty sure you can't do that on console, actually, because there is no way to connect your console account onto the Wizard101 website, so that's something to note as well. Another huge difference between the PC and console edition of Wizard101 is actually the chat in-game. So on PC, if I just hit enter, I can type pretty much anything I want, right? And you can chat with other people through this little chat box right here, right? But on console edition, there is no chat box on Wizard101. So the only way that you can chat with people on console edition is through the menu chat right here, right? Which is a bunch of preset chats that you can send depending on what situation you're in, right? But the thing about that is that it's pretty clunky on console. As you can imagine, the controls are a lot different to PC, and it's a lot clunkier. And I wouldn't say the controls are bad, But when it comes to using menu chat, it takes a long time to actually get to what you're trying to select and to actually, say what you want to say, right? Because on console, obviously, you have to like click down each and every time, and then you have to go into it, and then you have to click send, and it's a lot harder than just, moving your cursor over to it and just, clicking on one, right? So that's probably one of the biggest flaws about Console Edition right now. I'm hoping that it's something that they will update in the future, but as of right now, the only way to chat with people is through text chat. There is no voice chat, and there is no, the only way to chat with people is through menu chat. There is no voice chat, and there currently is no text chat either, although text chat honestly probably wouldn't be much easier to use on console. So that's something to keep in mind as well, is that the communication between players is a lot worse. So like, for example, if you're doing a new dungeon that you've never done before and you don't know like the boss cheats, there's no effective and easy way to communicate that with people like you can on PC. You can just, type what cheats there are, but unfortunately on Console Edition right now, there is no way to do that. I'm hoping that in the future they can add, a voice chat or a proximity chat, so it will, alleviate some of this problems, but as of right now, there is no fix to it, so that's something to keep in mind before you choose if you want to play on PC or Console Edition. Another very important thing to note when choosing between PC and Console Edition is that as of right now, every world has not been added to Console Edition. I believe right now it's only Arcs 1 and maybe some of Arc 2 if I'm not wrong. But if you want to go anywhere further than that, it's unfortunately not available on Console Edition as of right now. It of course will be added in the future and in future updates. Definitely something to consider when you choose between playing PC or Console Edition, or if you're choosing to make a swap from one to the other. So right now, the entire game is not available on Console Edition. I believe it's only Arcs 1 and maybe Arc 2 that are currently available, but the later arcs will be added in the future. And if, the player base being active is something that you're worried about, honestly, on Console Edition, I wouldn't worry too much about it, because all the times that I've played, there was a bunch of people online at pretty much all times. So I don't think that's something that you should really worry about. However, one thing I will note is that there are a significant less amount of servers on Console Edition. So for example, if we go over here and we go to Realms and we open up, there's 6 whole pages of servers on PC Edition. But on console, I believe there's like maybe 2 pages of servers. So that's something to note as well. I don't think it really matters too much because I believe less people play on console just altogether. But that is something to note as well, is that there's a slight less amount of actual servers on Console Edition, and I think there's also a bit less players as well. But I think the community on Console Edition is still pretty much thriving. A lot of people are absolutely loving Console Edition, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it either. I think the main things to consider is the amount of content that's currently out on Console Edition versus PC Edition, because obviously PC was the first thing that Wizard101 released on, so there has been, like the past 16 years of content all available to you on PC Edition, whereas console has just recently released, so there's a lot less content and updates are going to be rolling out a bit slower than they do on PC version. But honestly, in the long run, I don't think that's really something that you should worry about too much. I think another thing to kind of consider is that if you want to play on PC Edition but you don't really have a good computer, that's not really something that will be a problem for you, because for example, me, I play on a like 10-year-old laptop and it runs pretty much just fine, besides some lag spikes. So Wizard101 is an old game and the graphics aren't really that good, so it's not really something that you should be worrying about. However, if you want smoother graphics and better graphics, you can play on a console, because all you'll need is the console, the base hardware, and a good internet connection, and then boom, you'll be running pretty smoothly. Back when Console Edition first released, there was a bunch of lag, but I'm pretty sure that's something that has been straightened out since the release, so I don't think it's going to be super laggy on console anymore. So yeah, you can have slightly better graphics and less lag if you only are able to play on a laptop, and if you have a console, then you're probably better off playing on console. But yeah, the last super like minor thing that I'll note is that obviously the controls are different on PC versus on console, because on console you're using a controller and on PC you're using a mouse and keys. So that is something to know. I believe, I mean, as someone who's played on both, I'd say the PC controls are a lot better and a lot more smooth and a lot more streamlined, because this is a PC game, so everything is meant to be, you know, clickable, easy with the mouse. You can just hover over it and click on it, whereas on console it's going to be a little bit harder to get used to, because you're using just the controller buttons, which, you know, it's a bit less streamlined and a bit more clunky, but overall I think that is something that you could absolutely just get used to. So I mean, when I was playing on console, it wasn't really that big of an issue for me, so I don't think it would be too much of an issue, but I guess it's something to consider. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the decision comes down to just what you personally are most comfortable with. If you don't have a PC, but you have a console and you're thinking, maybe I want to give Wizard101 a shot, I think you absolutely should, and it will be 100% worth your time to just play on console. However, if you have both a PC and a console and you're wondering which one you should play on, I think just go with whatever you're most comfortable on. If you're more of a PC gamer, just get it on your PC. I think if you're someone who likes to really just kick back and lay in bed and play video games, then you should probably get it on console edition. And if you're someone who doesn't really mind sitting at a desk all day playing Wizard101, then you should probably go for PC version, just because there's more content. If you're someone who likes to speedrun through the games that you play pretty quickly, then you might want to go on PC edition, just because there's a lot more content on here compared to on console edition. But if you don't mind waiting a couple months and just playing it as it comes out, then console edition could be good for you. I found it to be really fun to just play console edition when I'm laying in bed and I'm too lazy to get up to my desk. So if that's, you know, similar to you, then I think you should just go on console edition. Something as well to consider is the longevity of console edition. As it stands right now, it's pretty popular. I think a lot of people are playing console edition, but it's something to consider, just like how well will it be doing in the next couple years or in the next couple months if you choose to play on console edition. It's been a pretty big topic of debate on whether or not console edition is going to actually last, but I think for right now it's in a pretty good spot. It's actually doing very well and it's getting updates very frequently, so I think if you want to try out console edition, there's really no reason not to. I'm pretty sure they have the entire Arc 1 for just $20, so I mean, shit, if you want to spend $20 to go play the whole first arc, I don't see why you shouldn't. Yeah, at the end of the day, the choice is up to you. I think both console edition and PC are great. I personally play on PC just because there's a lot more content, and I'm the type of person who plays my games very fast. But I also still do occasionally play on console when I just want to lay in my bed and play a game really quick. So yeah, I think both console and PC are great. There's a couple things to consider before you make a decision, but ultimately I think if you're someone who wants to play on console, you should just play on console. And if you would rather play on PC, then PC is obviously the great default option for you. Yeah, I hope this video was helpful. I hope it covered some of the differences between the two, and if there's anything important that I missed, you can go ahead and comment it, because I'm sure there's a lot more differences that I'm just like not remembering right now. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.